Today we are going to be making the best tier list on the internet for every single starting quarterback for next season. Okay, so we're going to start with this S tier, and we're not just going to go by this basic tier system. I'm just going to rename it and add a lot more as we go. Starting with the elite tier. Obviously, this is for like the best quarterbacks truly in the NFL. And the number one guy who I think has to go in this tier list is, of course, the reigning MVP, Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen won MVP last year, which is obviously always a good sign. Which is obviously a good sign for him to be put in this elite tier. And he just throws a lot of deep balls, and his receivers seem to not be very good, but he somehow is just as good with these trash receivers. Okay, number two guy who I think has to go in this tier is, of course, Lamar Jackson. Oh wait, no, that's Joe Burrow. Oops. Is Lamar Jackson. Lamar and Josh have just defined the position of this generation where rushing is a really big part of their game. And Lamar can still throw. I mean, both these quarterbacks are also very, very good passers. It's just that their main game is that they love to just completely run over everyone who's here. And also going in the elite tier is Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow was really, really good last year. I do feel very, very bad for him because his defense was hot garbage, and it's not really his fault. And Joe Burrow is different from these other two guys where he doesn't rush a lot. Rushing's not really a big part of their game. He's very much more just a thrower guy. He's very much a throwback player like Tom Brady, Joe Montana. Okay. So for this next tier, we are going to name it to Elite but Falling Off. Okay, for this next tier, in Elite but Falling Off is for none other than Patrick Mahomes. Just so that I can get this clear, Mahomes is still in the elite tier with these three top guys. I just felt the need to call out the fact that these last two seasons for him haven't been as good as what we're used to. The Chiefs really have morphed into ball control, slow-paced style of defensive gameplay, and that's just hurt Mahomes' numbers more than anything. I mean, sure, he's won all the Super Bowls and all the accolades, but it's mainly his defense. You can say that he should be above these three top guys because they make it to the Super Bowl and he makes it to the Super Bowl and they don't. But it's Mahomes it's not really a quarterback versus quarterback battle that defines who makes it. It's that the Chiefs' defense is pretty good, and these three don't have as good of a defense or as good of weapons as what Mahomes has. Okay, for the next tier, we are going to name it to Almost Elite. These are for guys that you could argue are in the elite tier, but they just kind of have to prove it a little bit more. Okay. Starting off with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a guy that a lot of people are refusing to put inside of top 5 conversations just because his team is really good. I mean, sure, but he does elevate his team in the playoffs more than he does in the regular season. And there's something to be said for playoff success. I mean, sure, these three top guys don't have it, but they've played better in the regular season than Mahomes and Hurts have. Also, I don't like all of the Jalen Hurts disrespect just because he's he has the best supporting cast in the league. I don't care. Jalen Hurts is going in Almost Elite. Okay. Now, the final guy we're going to put in this Almost Elite tier is a veteran. Obviously, he's been really good, but he's not in the elite tier anymore, but he's still very, very good, and that is Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, despite the fact that he's 37. He just seems to just never miss a throw whenever he's throwing to Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, those kind of guys. And I honestly think that the Matthew Stafford, despite the fact he's old, is the guy I would want as my 6th quarterback on my team if I couldn't have these top 5. Okay, and also Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl a couple years ago with the Rams. Okay, now the next tier is going to be good but playoff choke. And I guess you know who's gonna go in this tier. It's Brock Purdy. Okay, no, I'm joking. It's obviously Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert had a really good TD-INT ratio, 23-3 in the regular season, and then he throws 4 picks against the Texans in a single playoff game where the Texans are not playing well right now. Huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now he's just been kind of called If Man. I mean, the king of hypotheticals, which I just find to be hilarious. But Justin Herbert still has some of the best pure arm talent in the NFL, despite the fact that the playoff success isn't there. Okay, the next guy the next tier that is going to be up here. Oh no, don't move. Okay, it's actually going to be yellow, and we are going to name this tier 1 Year Wonders. Okay, 1 Year Wonders. Okay. The first guy that I think of when I think of this tier is CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud had a really, really good rookie year. He was the best rookie QB at the time, and he took some steps back last year because his offensive line had him choking on turf every 5 seconds. And it wasn't really his fault. I mean, all of his top weapons went down. I just want to see CJ Stroud resurge and be the guy he was in his rookie year. Now, the other guy I'm going to put in this tier is Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a guy that a lot of people are going to put inside of top 5 conversations, but I want to hold the brakes a little bit. I know he had the best rookie season of all time, but CJ Stroud exemplified why you can't generate too much hype around him. Jaden Daniels is still really good, though. And finally, rounding out the 1 Year Wonders tier, we have Bo Nix. Bo Nix is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he's got a really great arm, really good at scrambling. He's just insanely accurate, and he never seems to miss a pass to Cortland Sutton. And Bo Nix did have the best pass blocking O-line in the league, but that's okay. I mean, he still put up great numbers even with a good offensive line. So I think there's something to be said for that, and I'm going to put him here as essentially my 10th best quarterback. Okay. Now for this next tier, we have the System Kings. So the System Kings are going to be guys that are really, really good fits for their system that they're in. Because again, not anyone can make a system great. But the thing about system quarterback is that when I say this, y'all are just going to think that I'm saying that the quarterback is just god awful if it's not for the system that he's in. No, that's not what we're doing. These quarterbacks are really, really good for the system that they're in. And if they were in the situation Jaden Daniels was in last year, they wouldn't be as good. Okay. First guy I think of when I think of this tier is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has really just floated around the league for forever, and it's but granted it was with some of the worst organizations in the sport, and he's really gotten comfortable right down there in Tampa. The Panthers and the Browns are just never a great place to be an NFL quarterback. Second guy I'm going to put in this tier is Jared Goff. Jared Goff was with the Rams where he was not as good as he is today, but he's still putting up insanely eye-popping numbers with Amon-Ra St. Brown, his dual set of running backs, Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta. And Dan Campbell's one of the best coaches in the league. The next guy we're going to put in this tier is Brock Purdy. Got his new contract specifically because he is a great fit for a Kyle Shanahan offense and is great chucking that rock down to all of the weapons while his defense helps him out. And I do not think Brock Purdy's bad. I know that he got a lot of disrespect his sophomore year because he was really, really good just because of his weapons. I don't think the weapons was everything because he still put up some pretty good numbers last year despite the fact that all of his top guys were injured. And I want to see how good he is this year without Deebo Samuel and maybe even without Christian McCaffrey because McCaffrey had a very devastating injury that might have destroyed his career. And finally, rounding out the System Kings, we have Geno Smith. Geno Smith, I think, is a system king. I know he just got to Las Vegas, but he's been in a Pete Carroll offense a lot. And I think that with the talent he has around him, with Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, I think that he will be a very productive quarterback in 2025. Now, next tier is going to be... Now, our next tier we're going to make... Please, okay. Next tier we're going to make... Are you joking? Okay. The next tier we are going to make is good, but coming off injury. So this tier is for guys who were looked at as some of the best quarterbacks in 2024, but now they've just been they got injured and we don't know what they're going to be. Dak Prescott also goes in this tier. He probably should have won MVP in 2023, but he got injured last year and Cooper Rush just turned into 2.0 Jameis Winston. So we're just going to want to see if he can get back to what we know he's capable of. The next guy we are going to put inside of good but coming off of injury is a guy who was looked at as maybe a top 10 quarterback in 2023, and that is Jordan Love. Jordan Love, despite the fact he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, he's more of a Brett Favre type quarterback, and he is very, very good, and I think that we're going to have another great year out of him with him now getting a new weapon in Matthew Golden. Okay. Now we're going to add a row below, and we are going to name this to half-year wonders. So our half-year wonders, the first guy that obviously has to go in this, the first and the only guy we're putting in this tier is Bryce Young. So Bryce Young was pretty good in the last half of last season, and he was horrible the first half, where he was looked at as maybe the biggest draft bust in NFL history after he got benched for Andy Dalton. But then when Andy Dalton crashed his car, Bryce got the starting job back and turned into baby Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, I know Dylan Gabriel is younger than him, but come on. He's basically what Dylan Gabriel was in college, but in the NFL. Okay. And Bryce Young is the only one who's going to go in here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make it blue. Add a red blood. Okay. So this next tier that we're going to make is called All-Stars Eventually. These are guys who I think could be All-Stars eventually, were top 3 picks in their class, and I think can be All-Stars all day, and they're going into their second year. And they're honestly very similar players, and those are Caleb Williams and Drake May. Both of them were top 3 picks, both had possibly the worst offenses to work with. I mean, Caleb did have a pretty good offense, but it was like Matt Eberflus was his head coach, and that guy would have been my pick to win the Urban Meyer Award if that was even a thing. But, it's like, these guys probably will be better than they were this year. Like, Drake May broke the yards per carry record held by a quarterback, and Caleb Williams is very highly thought of. I mean, especially for what he did in the preseason, and I think that maybe he might turn into that eventually. Okay. The next tier that we have now, this tier is going to be called the Generational Prospects. In quotation marks. Because here's the thing, generational prospect has been thrown around a lot, like everyone thinks, oh my gosh, this person's going to be so good, and we have no idea. So the first person that we're going to put in here is Trevor Lawrence. He's a guy that a lot of people thought was going to be a top 5 quarterback eventually, but Doug Peterson just decided to be bad after his first year. And Trevor Lawrence has put up some decent numbers, it's just that he's not as good as everyone thought he was going to be. Now, the other person I'm going to put in this tier is Kyler Murray. Everyone thought he was very suited for the modern NFL with this combination of running and passing. It's not really his fault that he keeps getting injured, and he seems to like playing Call of Duty more than football. And I feel really bad for him because he has come off a ton of injuries and has put up some pretty decent numbers. It's just that no one really cares about the Cardinals. Okay. This next tier is going to be called Call an Ambulance. Call an Ambulance. I'm pretty sure you know who this person is going to be. It's Tua Tagovailoa. So Tua has been injured pretty much every single season. And in the seasons he doesn't, he just puts up only 28 touchdowns and 14 picks in a system where he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. I know that Mostert just left to go to Las Vegas. But I really think that Tua is not someone, I don't see him staying in the league for another few years if he keeps getting the extent of injuries that he's been getting for a while. Okay. Now that to end our light orange tiers, we're going to name this tier to the IDK tier. One sec. The IDK tier is going to be filled with guys who we have not really seen enough NFL experience to put him in another one of these tiers. And the first person, obviously, is Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a lot of people's quarterbacks who they think is going to be really good. I'm going to be honest here, I do not really like this quarterback class as a whole. Not really sure that it cuts the line, and I'm just not sure what's going to happen to it. Next person is Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is on the Giants right now, where I think he'll be fine. I mean, I don't think that he's going to be the starter. I think it's either going to be Russ or Jameis. I prefer Jameis just because it's going to make the NFL very chaotic. And neither of these guys have played an NFL snap yet, and I just don't think that this quarterback class is any good, because if it was, I would just put it above the call and ambulance tier. Next player we're going to put in here is J.J. McCarthy. He's played some NFL snaps in the preseason where he looked good, but that's the preseason. We just have no idea. And he did come off of an ACL tear, which is pretty bad. I could be wrong. It might have been like his Achilles or something. Michael Penix Jr. obviously has more NFL experience than all these guys. But it was only 2 games where the Falcon season's fate was already decided, where they were not making the playoffs, and the Buccaneers had already had a stranglehold on the NFC South. Okay, the next tier. This next tier, we're going to name it to the connection flights. The connection flights. These are guys who you just use until you're waiting for your next long-term solution at quarterback. Sam Darnold is Exhibit A for this. He was with the Vikings while J.J. McCarthy got injured. They had to use him, and he was actually a lot better than everyone thought he was going to be. But Sam Darnold is now in Seattle, where they're not going to be surrounding him with as much as he had in Minnesota. Hold on, let me correct my spelling here. Connection flight. Connection flights, okay. And then he's just a guy that fell apart completely in the last 2 games of the season, and those are the games that actually mattered, with the Lions to clinch the number 1 seed and the NFC North, and his game against the Rams where he got blown out. I'm just not sure what Sam Darnold is going to be other than a connection flight bridge guy. Next person we're going to put in here is Justin Fields. Obviously, this guy has just been thrown around as backup for the past 2 years, and I think that he deserves a starting job. It's just that he's not that great of a passer. If he can develop as a passer, then I can see the Jets deluding themselves into thinking he's going to be their long-term solution, especially given the fact that Justin Fields just broke his leg. So it's going to be very hard to see how he can bounce back. And the thing is, Zach Wilson is now on the Dolphins, so they don't even have a clear backup. So Justin Fields is just going to remain in connection flights until we can see what happens. Okay. For our next tier, we're just going to put grandpas. These are guys who are way too old for a long-term solution deal. Obviously, Exhibit A for this is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been good for basically the first 10 years of his career, and then he's been falling off since his last year in Green Bay. Especially, he did come off of a horrible Achilles tear, and I mean, the Jets were horrible. Aaron Rodgers did put up numbers, but he's been falling off, and I just don't see him doing much in Pittsburgh. I just think he's there to hold down the fort until when their next quarterback is ready. Now, the other person we're going to put in this tier is obviously Joe Flacco. No, not you. Okay. Joe Flacco is also old. I mean, he's been on some of the worst organizations in the sport as a backup. Joe Flacco is praised for what he did with the Browns a couple years ago, but the Browns is one of the worst quarterback situations in the league. And we just don't know who's going to win this 5-way battle between Super Bowl champion, tiny-handed loser, 80-year-old midget, and then douchebag. Shador Sanders is the 4th string quarterback in training camp. Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel are the 1st and 2nd. And Joe Flacco is just he might put up some numbers, but I just don't see it going anywhere for him, just because he's old. Now, this next row that we're going to make is called the I'm Ass tier. The reason we're calling this the I'm Ass tier is because, well, this is only for Tyler Shuck. He was a 2nd-round rookie. We don't know if it's going to be him or Spencer Rattler. And the other thing about Tyler Shuck is that he did also post on his Instagram, "Why'd you draft me? I'm ass." And I still find that funny, and that's where this tier name comes from. I just don't have very high hopes for him because he was a second-round rookie. And now in our last tier, we have I'm sorry, what? We have I'm sorry, what? And this tier is just for Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson had 47% completion percentage in his second year when everyone thought he was maybe the second best rookie quarterback his rookie year. He was god-awful last year, and he got injured, and Joe Flacco didn't get the chance to light it up, and I firmly believe that Joe Flacco would have won the starting job if Anthony Richardson didn't return so fast. And I just don't think Anthony Richardson, I think he'll be something in the league, just like a long-term backup. I don't see him being a starter when he's competing with Daniel Jones. And I just think that that's not how this is going to go. Okay, I just zoomed out so that we can get a look at this tier list. So we have the elite. This is for truly like the best quarterbacks in the league: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Next we have elite but falling off, where Patrick Mahomes is. Next up we have almost elite for Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford. This is a tier for guys who you could argue are in the elite tier, but they just aren't yet, or are falling off. Like Matthew Stafford is having some of the best football of his career. We have good but playoff choker. That's for Justin Herbert. We have one-year wonders for C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix. We have the system kings for Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, and Geno Smith. The good but coming off of injury tier for Dak Prescott and Jordan Love. The half-year wonder is Bryce Young. The all-stars eventually is Caleb Williams and Drake May. The, quote, generational prospects is for Trevor and Kyler. The call an ambulance tier is for Tua. The I don't know tier is for Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, JJ McCarthy, and Michael Penix. The connection flights is for Sam Darnold and Justin Fields. The grandpas is for Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco. The I'm ass tier is for Tyler Shuck. And then the I'm sorry what tier is for Anthony Richardson. If you want to see me do like best to worst, then comment down below. And honestly, I have no idea how this is going to go. Like, I might make a tier list at the end of the season, and I might be like maybe Jackson Dart lights it up, and I'm like, why on earth did I put him down here? So honestly, I might get like canceled for this, especially with the Jaden Daniels take, because a lot of people have him in top 5 conversations. Now, finally, that is going to conclude the tier list. Goodbye, and stay